All right. This is the Between Two Firms podcast, episode 3.
Wait a minute. Let's reframe this just one second.
These are good problems to have.
And what we can do with money to help our family over generations.
And working towards my entire career, I decided, you know what, I think I need to do my own thing.
And I'm like, awesome.
All right, guys. Well, today we have a pretty exciting show for you guys, interviewing Don Leavitt from ArrowCPA. Don's my spirit animal, dude. I want to be like Don. So, well, I knew the second that we were halfway through our interview, and he picked up, it was out of frame, and he reached for a drink and cracked it open and pulled it up, and he was drinking a Cherry Coke Zero.
It's fate.
Yeah,
It's
fate.
fate.
I mean,
It's like
truly.
star-crossed.
Truly, I immediately knew that this man's the real deal. So anyway, we had a great time chatting with Don. But before we get into the show, how you doing, Matt? Living?
I'm doing well.
Dude. Well,
How about you? You're still pretty busy.
yeah, but I think I have more crap on the calendar than you, but I don't think I have more work, on the schedule than you. So I don't know, busy in different ways, I guess. But yeah, we're busy, but it's good to be busy. We had this morning where we moved into a new office. What now? Like 2 months ago? And,
a month and a half ago.
moving into this
Doesn't
office.
feel- it doesn't feel like
yeah,
it.
I'm with you. It doesn't feel like it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. But moved into this new office, and our entire practice to this point has been remote.
Yeah.
And we're starting to get a little bit of foot traffic, I guess.
Local interest.
Local interest. There you go. We had during our staff meeting this morning, we had a gentleman call in to the main line. He was like, he's like, I'm outside. Like, how do I, where do I go? And
Yeah.
which put us into a state of panic because
We're not quite equipped. We have our reception area, if you could call it that, is only freshly furnished, and I don't know. We frequently get just surprise visits, you could say, like from delivery people, and
Well, it's
other
better.
stuff like
We've at least got the place fully. I say fully. We've at least got the place 75% furnished.
it's not
now.
bare.
It's not bare. Because the first couple of weeks, if somebody had walked in, they would have been like, "Is this real, or are you guys just laundering money? Like, what is going on here?"
It's just the front. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, today
That's
that
the
happened.
solutions. That's the solutions part.
Yeah, well, that exactly. That happened, which prompted us to move up in the priority list, or the urgency for getting a doorbell and a ring system, so that when people come through the door, Matt and I are on calls, we hear them. And then later, like an hour ago, I heard the door open, and I was like, and went outside, and almost had a heart attack when I walked into the hall, and the Amazon delivery driver was like right outside my door, like that.
Yeah.
So we probably need to get a doorbell before we get murdered, Matt. I don't know.
It's in the works. As
in the
long as whoever the perpetrator is doesn't show up before like Saturday or whatever.
Yeah, right. If somebody wants to come rob and murder us, they should at least.
By the time this episode goes out, we'll be
We'll be
locked down,
safe.
so,
We'll have physical security. We'll have +10 physical security. So, but anyway, that's what we've been working on. So obviously, a lot of productivity happening over here. Yeah. Anything else, man? Anything else that you've got going on aside from the usual?
There's some internal workings that are afoot.
Are you talking about your GI, your lower GI tract? Is that
Our remote hire.
Yeah, we're looking at growing the team, which is something we should have done a while ago. but
Now the need is urgent.
the need is urgent. Yes, we've done a good job of buying ourselves a little bit of time, or just really just procrastinating, and now it's like, oh crap, we need somebody yesterday. So we're gonna go through the hiring process without hopefully too much urgency. But yeah, we're looking to fill a role, so that's exciting. But dude, let's talk about Don, man. I had a great time chatting with Don, and kind of like we mentioned last week, we didn't record these in the order. These first 4 episodes were not recorded in the order in which they will air. So apologies to the listening audience if my ability to record a podcast, if you notice a serious regression. I'm doing my best. I'm figuring this whole thing out. So they should be better going forward. But appreciate, Don coming on, and he had a lot of cool stuff to say. I really liked, my big takeaway from talking to Don was he's well niched, which I really liked, and we are not well niched.
Well,
and that is something.
He's well niched, and he's intentionally well niched.
Yeah,
and he's not necessarily looking to expand.
Right. He's a really cool niche. He'll talk about it. And then the other thing I found interesting talking to Don. Well, 2 things. Aside from his love of Cherry Coke Zero, was that his wife is going to be joining him in the business here soon, or has started the process of standing up a new bookkeeping. At least by
the time this episode airs,
sure. Right, standing up a new bookkeeping arm of the business, and I think that's super cool. At least from like a lifestyle perspective, being able to have your wife or your significant other.
I guess she was the one, because he studied history, fellow history student like myself, and he studied history, and she was the one who had a formal education in accounting, and he just kind of happened into it, I guess, and found sort of a affinity for it. But and now they're both moving into it together, so good for them.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. We'll have to follow up with them once they've been at it for a year, or for a few months, and just see if they're still happily married. I'm just kidding. That's a joke. but I think that's super cool. I really do. And then the other thing that made me laugh after the fact, after the interview, towards the end of the interview, we talked about how communities and kind of where you find other folks doing what we're doing, and Dawn and I are both members of the, and I misspoke on my mind went to Reddit on the when we were during the interview, but I'll only pull it up. We're both members of the Tax Pros. That's what it's, our Tax Pros is the Reddit, not what we're talking about. We're both members of the Tax Pros Discord, which, if you haven't heard about it, is a super, super cool group. And we can drop the link to it in the show notes. But it's a Discord full of tax pros, and it's a super welcoming, super supportive community where you can go and you can talk about whatever, about growing your business.
Been keeping it secret from me.
Well, just
you're putting the invite out. I don't even know.
I'm in it. We don't want to saturate it with. We don't want to saturate it. So I've been hiding it from you. But dude, it's a super cool group. I spend a significant amount of time in there. Admittedly, I've been more of a lurker than a poster so far, but it has helped me. Just having it as a searchable tool where I can search past questions has been super helpful for me on more than one occasion. And I've definitely gotten some good, both technical and kind of practice development advice from the group. So highly recommend you guys check it out. Don told us his username on Discord, or gave me his username. And it's funny, after the episode, I went back into the Discord and I searched a previous question that I had asked, and Don had been the one who answered it. The Skazooker 28 himself. So look at that. Small world. So anyway, we'll talk about it, but recommend you, if you haven't heard of it, recommend you check out the Discord. Very cool. I think
let's
fun interview. And
Yeah,
I think
we talked enough. Let's let you guys get into it.
let's do it.
Boom, here we go. Don, our guest today is Don Leavitt with ArrowCPA. Don, how are you?
Doing pretty good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Wait, like Tom off camera before we started, really appreciate you coming on. We're excited to be chatting with you today. And I'll give you the chance to kind of tell us your story and tell us how you got into running your own firm. But before I do, I was looking at your website, and one of the things that stood out to me was it said that in your free time, you do high-performance driver's education. To give that a quick Google, that sounds really cool. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is and what you do there?
Yeah, so it's basically a fancy way to say track days. So, people think track days like, oh, you're going to be racing. Oh, no, it's not racing. So they call it high performance driver education. We're all out there to learn. We're just learning at, extremely high speeds on a closed course.
That is so
and
cool.
yeah, so that's been my hobby the past, 8 years or so. Started with a Mazda Miata, and now I have a 2002 Corvette Z06 that
is super cool.
have prepped for track work. It has plates, but I don't really drive it on the street. It's just for track and autocross stuff.
That is so good. What's the highest speed you've ever hit on the track?
Probably 145.
That's fast. That's
that's
fast.
that's
for
on the
me,
back
that's
straight
fast.
so the back straight of Portland International Raceway, which is the closest track to me, is pretty long, and
Gotcha.
so yeah.
145. Dang, that is fast. I think the fastest I've ever been is like 103, and I thought that was insane. 145 has to be.
Well,
that's moving.
It's different on a track though. Like the 103 may or may not have been on public roads.
No
right?
comment.
So,
no comment.
No
sure.
comment, right? But tracks they have them prepared. You got walls. The tarmac's nice and smooth. You're not worried about a cop. It's different. So
Sure. Oh, that's super cool. Well, very cool. I'll ask you about it briefly again at the end, but yeah, I just had to joke. That stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and we are working on a new website. My wife, we'll get into this later too, but my wife has joined the firm now, and she doesn't have any work to do, and so she's been working on building a new website that is a little more fancy.
Gotcha. Well, very cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it then. So, tell me a little bit about your background. I saw some things. I have some questions, but how did you get into accounting? And then from getting into accounting, how did you get into running your own firm?
Yeah, so I had a very circuitous route into the accounting industry. It wasn't a straight shot. But the high level view, went to college, had to pick a major, picked business because my dad was a professor in business. I understood it, and like that seemed like the default for middle-class white kid in college. So I was doing that, and then one of the professors said, hey, I think you make a good accountant. I have a firm that's looking for an intern. I think you should apply. And so I did, and I got the internship, and I'm like, this is great. It's a paid internship. I get credits for school. It's in an office, so I'm not, dealing with, all the vagaries of temperature in the stock room of the grocery store, which is what I was doing before. And so I thought it was great. And so that started the summer after my sophomore year. And the first thing I do is go do an audit of a public school district.
Oh, wow.
And I know nothing about accounting at this point. Like, I literally didn't even know that people paid other people to do their taxes. Like, I didn't know tax accounting was a thing. I'd always done my own taxes. My parents had always done their own taxes.
Yeah.
And so as far as I knew, this is what accounting was. And I'm like, this sucks. I hate this so much.
That's funny.
And so my first introduction into accounting was an audit. And this is with a really small firm, like one CPA. Looking back on it, he should not have been doing audits. Like, he did not have... he should not have been doing this audit. And so it's him and me and another intern who got hired at the same time. So neither of us knew anything. We were just looking at the PPC checklists and just saying, well, they said NA to this last year, so I guess it's NA this year?
Classic.
Yeah, classic. And so like, I'm going into this blind. I think this is what accounting is like. This blows. And so instead of changing my major to accounting, I decided, well, I might as well have a major in something that I actually enjoy. So I switched to history.
Okay.
So I switched my major to history, didn't take any more accounting classes out of the introductory managerial and financial accounting classes. But I kept the internship. Again,
Gotcha.
I'm indoors, I'm in an office. I mean,
Right.
I'm a pretty smart guy. It's not
Could be
hard
worse.
work. And I got credits for school. And so I kept the internship, ended up doing some tax work in there. But, not enough to make me think, okay, this is what I do want to do for the rest of my life. So graduated, like, okay, I now have a history degree. What do I do? I guess I'll go into teaching, because what else do you do with a history degree?
Yeah.
The firm, the CPA actually hired me back for another tax season. So he liked my work enough that he's like, okay, I don't have a staff accountant normally, but do you want to come back? And so I helped train the next intern and was working the next tax season while I was doing my master's degree. And then finished up my master's, did my student teaching for free all that during the day, was delivering pizzas at night because I couldn't work during the day because I was, again, teaching for free, and got all done with that just as the financial crisis hit the Oregon teaching budget. Oregon has a biannual budget. So like they had just passed a new budget right as everything went to pot. And so the schools had money for a couple of years.
Right.
And so the layoffs didn't really happen until 2010, 2011.
There's a little bit of a lag.
Because there was a delay in the funding changes. And so I graduated with my minty new teaching license and master's degree just as they finished laying everybody off.
That's tough.
Couldn't get a teaching job, couldn't get any sub jobs because understandably they're giving priority to the laid off teachers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For the substitute teaching jobs. I'm like, okay, I just gotten married. I'm living with my parents. It was supposed to be temporary, but if I'm just delivering pizzas at night, that's going to be a lot less temporary than we had all hoped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what do I know to do? I know how to prep taxes.
There you go.
So I reached back out to the professor that wrote me into this whole mess in the first place. I said, hey, this whole teaching thing is not going to work out here for a bit. Do you know anybody that's looking for a tax preparer? And eventually got plugged into another firm, found out I'm pretty good at it. I enjoy it. And I ended up staying with that firm in one form or another for the next 13 years. Went back to school, had to go back and get more credits in accounting. I had plenty total credits. It was the accounting specific credits that I needed to sit for the CPA exam. Took the CPA exam and studied for that while also having a couple kids and buying a house and working, accounting firm hours. So that was a lot of fun. And so speed through that, I made it up to a director position in the firm that I was in.
Okay.
And I, at that point, I just had my fourth kid, and I'm like, okay, I want to spend more time. I'm working too much, and I'm looking at what the partners are working in the firm, which is the next logical step. And I'm like, well, they're working even more than I am.
Right.
and if this is what I've been pushing towards and working towards my entire career, and now I don't want it, what does that mean?
Right.
And so that's when I made the decision, is effectively February 2024, when I decided, you know what, I think I need to do my own thing. I've been fortunate in my career to have a lot of experience in a lot of areas of running a firm. So like I said, I was in a management position. I saw how the operations side worked. I knew what needed to happen. I knew what I liked and didn't like. I also had the opportunity to build a lot of good relationships with both clients, but then also other professionals over the course of my career. And so it was a less daunting of a transition for me, just because I felt like I had a pretty good base on where things started. So I kind of made the decision in my head in February, started doing some of the preparatory work, let the firm know in early July of that year, and then eventually left and started my own firm officially October 1st. So
Got it. And this was this was last year in 24?
Correct.
Okay. So this is all relatively new still.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Okay. And so a couple of things there. One, I love the accounting degree kind of path. I also was not a classically trained accountant. Spent a few years in the Army, and then kind of similar to you, right? Like looked up and said, wow, like the people who are 10, 15 years ahead of me, I don't know. It doesn't look like they're having fun, or I don't know if that's my version of fun. Right.
Right.
And so, yeah, similar kind of to your story. Like, well, what am I going to do? And so that was kind of what led me into accounting. So I can, I get that. I can resonate with that a little bit on that transition. One of the things you brought up was doing the internship. And I do think it's worth highlighting, because I also, when I decided I was going to jump into accounting, I also started with an internship. I was like, let me go intern somewhere. Which for me was tough from a, like emotionally it was kind of tough just because I was an Army officer. I had a decent salary, was in, positions of responsibility. And now I'm like a tax intern at a mid-sized firm, and it's like me and, a couple 20-year-olds. And I'm like, what's, so
Yeah.
But man, I won't speak on your behalf, but I got so much out of that internship. I mean, I would have worked for them for free, because doing a season at a firm and kind of learning the what to do, the not to do, that experience, at least for me, was absolutely priceless. So I love that that's kind of what got you in the door, accounting wise.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I would go. I did go back and work for the firm that one tax season, but it was like,
right.
Well, it's good money. It wasn't because of any particular passion. Yeah. And it was one of the things that I did learn from that experience a lot. I'm grateful for the experience it gave me and allowed me to build a career. But it's also like, okay, there were a lot of things that I wish would have been done differently for me. And so,
of course, right.
In the role that I had at the firm that I left, I was actually part of the team that led our internship program. And so I was like, okay, how can I make this a better experience for the poor college kids who don't know anything?
No, of course.
And this is, as far as they know, this is what accounting is. So.
Right. No, like I said, I think that's very cool. So, okay. So you decide to step out and go out on your own. What did that look like for you? How like day zero, you just started out. What was kind of your approach to getting your initial client list, or how did that kind of start taking off?
Yeah. So, I was, again, very fortunate that in my position, I had a number of very strong client relationships that, through the whole process, we ended up negotiating that they could stay with me. So I started off with a very strong client list. And was even able to get engagement letters and proposals and everything signed by them prior to me leaving. Because of how, because I let the firm know early. It wasn't there was no animosity or anything. Like, it wasn't like, okay, you suck. Hey, you suck. Let's screw each other. It's like, okay, let's try to make this, and I still have lunch with them, and we still see each other. And so,
of course.
And so, we were able to work that out, which was a huge, huge blessing. I mean, on one hand, it meant that I was not, sitting around there like, okay, how am I going to make my December mortgage payment now? Because I actually started with sufficient work, to get me basically to replace my salary that I was leaving behind. So I kind of started off on the front foot there. I was also fortunate that my wife, at least at the time, had a very good, very stable job. And so that took care of health insurance and gave, a base level of cash flow, and just made that transition really easy. So I didn't feel huge pressure to go out and like, okay, let's go sign up a bunch of clients and get a bunch of work in and hope that gives me enough money to put food on the table.
Got it.
So yeah. And so I was actually very, I this past year, I really haven't done really much marketing, because I intentionally didn't want to grow too big too fast and put myself in the same position that I was trying to get out of.
become the Sith. Yeah.
Which I don't know if I really thought about this beforehand, but it's like, it's almost a bigger challenge out on your own to not put yourself into that position, at least for me.
Yeah.
Because okay, I work an extra 10 hours at the firm. Like this could get me some indirect benefit some point indeterminately in the future when they consider to have me join the equity partnership. But I do that now in my own firm. Like that's real money.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
that's potentially several $1,000s.
Exactly.
And so the temptation is almost a little higher for me to.
No, I get that 100%. Yeah.
And so I intentionally didn't put my name out there, didn't do a whole lot of marketing and those kinds of things, not intending to really grow my client list all that much, at least this first year, just to get my feet under me, see where things land. Again, financially, I felt like it was in a good spot. And I wanted to like, okay, this is my first year running my own thing. I think I know everything that's going to happen, but until you actually do it, you don't know. And so, yeah, but I did get a couple good referrals from both clients and from other professionals in the area that have, added to my client list just a smidge. And now, reevaluating for 2026 and what that should look like. So.
Well, very cool. Yeah, and I'm sure that that transition, you explain it as kind of starting off with the client list and having some things locked in, but I'm sure it was still an adjustment.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was definitely like I changed a lot of things too with my client relationships. Like it was not just, okay, now you're doing the same thing, just now you're getting an invoice from ArrowCPA instead of the firm that I left. I tried to shift things more to an advisory first focus. So all my clients are on a monthly subscription instead of being billed, per project, doing planning for everybody, which most of them were already doing it, but it was all billed hourly after the fact.
Gotcha. Okay.
As opposed to kind of just being built in there. So that was one of the things when I went on my own, is like, okay, how can I cut down on the admin time? Because I don't get paid for that.
Right.
And I don't enjoy that. And so that was one of the things I did, is like, okay, I'm just going to roll everything into one monthly fee that I'm using Practice Ignition to manage that. And so like, okay, that's just happening automatically. I don't have AR, so I don't have to worry about that. Collection calls are off the table, which is great. And then I just built in, in my pricing, call me whenever you want. Like send me an email, answer your question. And I'll use my professional judgment as to whether that, we need to have a full separate engagement for that. But most of it's just like, yeah, I'll just answer your question. Almost like information's free, implementation is what you're paying me for. Because that was one thing that was annoying both for me and the client with the hourly billing model, is like, okay, we just spent a half hour, 45 minutes on a call. Am I really going to send out an invoice for $200? Or are we just going to hold on to that until we have a bigger invoice that we can tack that onto?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to deal with
the messiness. There's a lot of messiness. Yeah.
A lot of messiness. And so like this past year, I didn't even track hours. I used Rise to just kind of track, how much time am I spending on different programs and figuring out, okay, this is how much I'm actually working. But I didn't track it per client, trying to figure out, okay, this is my realization rate on this client, on this side. It's like, you know what? I just need a detox from that whole toxic mentality of tracking every quarter hour to figure out, okay, am I working enough? So
that's fair. Okay. Well, no, that's very cool. What when you started out on the day you started, was it just you, or did you didn't bring anybody else over with you, or start with an admin or anything? Okay, so it's just you.
It's just me 100%. And that was intentional. I was working about 2,500 hours a year at the firm that I left. And I wanted to cut that at least in half.
Okay.
And part of that was not just, I'm lazy and I don't want to work. Part of that was also, again, I got 4 kids. They're only going to be young once.
Exactly.
They got their things that they're doing. My mom, help out with my mom and family stuff. It's just, I wanted to have the flexibility to be able to do some of those things without causing undue stress on my wife and other people in our world. So, yeah, I'm like, you know what? one of the things that's going to make that more difficult is managing people.
Fair.
And so, yeah, I decided I'm just going to do it all myself and build it within that, build my capacity within that parameter, and leverage a lot of tools as much as I can to make that possible. So
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we kind of similar to you. We you know, when our firm has been kind of on a similar timeline. We started around the same time that you did, and one thing for me, I also kind of was coming from the Army, and I was saying, okay, goal is to work less, right? Or at least have control over when I'm working, right? And not be gone for months at a time, right? Have young kids. It was not sustainable. And so a little bit different from you is the Army. My background was kind of all my jobs that I held prior to launching the firm were kind of management focused. It's the Army, so everything was operations and management. And so for me, like my approach to kind of running the firm has been very management centric. Is like I do the accounting work and take pride in doing the accounting work, but I view myself more as a manager than as like the technician doing the work. So it's interesting for me to hear that your perspective is kind of different. It's like, I just want to do the work. I don't want to manage. And
well, and some of that was my experience. Like I was in management, I was managing people, but I don't have management training. Right.
Gotcha.
And so we were just kind of figuring out as I go. And honestly, if I had to do a self-assessment, I don't know how good of a manager I was. Like, I don't think I was a bad one. Like I made people, I was maybe too far on the relationship side of the spectrum rather than the discipline side of the spectrum. Like I didn't find the right balance or learn how to leverage the relationship to get good performance out of staff. And I don't know how much of that was just circumstances or just me and my skill set or lack thereof. And so that was kind of what drove me to go down the path of, you know what, I think it just should be. Honestly, I don't really enjoy doing the work. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm a technician, I need to do the work. It was like, I'm willing to do the work to get the other things that I want to do or avoid the things that I want to avoid.
Yeah.
And that might change, again, this is just a season of life where, my oldest is only 10. So I got, my kids are 10, 9, 7, and 2. And so they're little.
You're in
and
it.
They're going to be in that young stage for quite some time. And maybe 5 years down the line, I'll change my mind. But that's kind of, I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to say, you know what? I don't feel like working today, or the kid's sick and I need to stay home.
Yeah.
And I don't want, Jimmy, the junior staff accountant, sitting there twiddling his thumbs, waiting for me to get back to him because I'm watching Bluey with my 2-year-old. So,
no, that's super cool. And like, that's one of the fun things about doing this is like, one of the things that fascinates me and excites me about doing this and talking to other firm owners and kind of hearing people's stories is that you can literally make it whatever you want to make it. And so, if you like management, you just want to, you can be hire heavy and you can do that and shape a firm that fits that. If you want flexibility and you want, hey, like I want control of my time, you can design the mousetrap to kind of fit your needs. And it's just so cool. I mean, there's few opportunities out there. There's few other opportunities out there that I think give you the flexibility that starting your own firm does. So
yeah, it's been really cool to be able to do this for myself, but then also hear other people's have structured their firms. And there are just so many options. Like I only have 18 client relationships. Like I only have 18 people that I need to care about professionally at this moment. And I'm able, but because of who they are and the kind of work that I'm doing for them, I'm able to support myself in that.
Yeah.
And so that's been it. And there's other people that are just like, I'm just going to crank out 1040s all day. And that's what gives me joy. And I can just do that forever. And they're both valid answers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they're stuck doing 1040s for the rest of their life. And I'm not here doing, high-end M&A stuff all year. for the rest of my career. There's flexibility and there's chances to adapt and change based off of your circumstances and what you enjoy and who you're working with. And yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely dynamic, and yeah, like I said, you can make it whatever you want, which is just super cool. So on that note, you said you have 18 current client engagements. Like that's okay. What?
Hey.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So 18 relationships. So like there's 18 people that I'm caring about, but like one of them, he has 15 entities, 15 operating entities.
Okay. Gotcha.
With like 28 locations located within those entities. So like it's one relationship, but it's
multiple,
many more. Like if you're thinking in terms of tax returns and those kinds of things.
Fair enough. So what kind of services from looking before the show, it looks like you do pretty full service. You're not just tax, you're not just bookkeeping. What kind of services do you offer to the clients?
So, that is an interesting question because I'm actually changing some of that a little bit going forward.
Okay.
Because, spoiler alert, my wife left her job and is now working with me, and she's going to be focused on the accounting side. So bookkeeping, controllership, VCFO stuff, which previously I wasn't really doing. I had it listed on my website, but I didn't have like any monthly bookkeeping clients or anything like that. I was basically, like I said, I was trying to be advisory focused. So I was looking for clients that are wanting, experienced tax advice throughout the year, year-end tax planning, in particular, and you're trying to figure out what we could do before the end of the year. But yeah, just tax compliance and tax planning was pretty much my client base. And I did a year-end accounting for all my clients. So, year-end accounting in the sense that they have either their own bookkeeper or internal staff that are maintaining the ledger on a day-to-day basis. And then I'm doing like, okay, do your payroll liabilities make sense? Is your inventory tied out? Like some of that kind of stuff to get to good numbers to use for the financial statements and tax returns. So.
Gotcha. You were doing that. You were kind of shifting some of that work forward and knocking it out prior to busy season, I'm assuming.
Yeah, some of it was. Yeah. Like, if a client had, sold some equipment or whatever, I'm like, okay, rather than have you just kind of guess on how that should go, like just call me, we'll work through it and we'll get it posted correctly. And then it's one less thing I needed to do, when it came time to actually do the compliance work. Several months from now. So
really the CAS or the accounting side of your practice is new. It hasn't, so your trailing years revenue doesn't include, it was just tax work.
It was just tax and tax advisory work. So,
got it. So now as you guys look at adding it in to the mix, how are you thinking about, cause we do tax and accounting as well. And so I'm curious your thoughts on how you plan to kind of structure those engagements, both from a services perspective and then from maybe a pricing perspective, as you kind of pitch it to the clients.
Yeah. I mean, this has been a topic of conversation the past month and a half. Well, and even longer with my wife and I trying to figure out what do we want that to look like. Because honestly, most of my current clients, they're not ones that we necessarily want to do CAS work for. Like, again, we want to keep it just her and I. Like, we don't want to build a team. And, I don't know if I want to be responsible for 28 gas stations worth of bill pay and ledger data and reconciling with the POS and all that stuff. That sounds like a lot of work. And so that's been something that is kind of interesting. Like, okay, what are the next steps forward? Do we almost have two separate practices within our firm where like she has her ideal client and then I do the tax work for it? Or do we try to meld the two? I think our current plan is to try to focus on what we think her ideal client is. She wants to focus on small dental practices. She was a dental assistant before she went to school for accounting. And so she has experience with the industry. She knows the jargon and she has connections in that. So, but yeah, we're thinking, we're going to try to package the accounting services and the tax services together in one fee. again, just to keep things consistent on that front. But yeah, we're working through, okay, how does that work? How do we want to track it? You know, how much, when we're thinking about how much money do we want her to bring in, you know, to replace her salary and benefits and stuff. And so, yeah, we're working on putting together packages of services. You know, we're wanting to go the 3-tier proposal approach. And what does that look like? And yeah, so trying to be intentional with who we bring on. Again, we're fortunate to not be in a position where it's like, okay, we need you to do stuff like right now, or, you know, little Timmy doesn't get new shoes. So we're still working through some of that stuff. I mean, in my ideal perfect world, she'd do all the accounting and then I'd spend like the half hour to prepare the tax return, you know, once a year. And that's the extent of my involvement, right? Like, that sounds great. And then I can just go all the networking events and I can go to all the conferences and all that, have all that fun. Cause she doesn't enjoy that stuff at all.
Gotcha.
But in reality, it'll probably, at least for the foreseeable future, there'll be, you know, I'll have my clients that I'm doing my work for. They don't need really the accounting services. And then she'll have hers, where, you know, there will be some synergy and some cooperation there. But we'll just have to see how things evolve out. One of the things that I am excited about with accounting services is I'm trying to, I struggle with how to say this, but like the bar for being a useful employee in that space is a lot lower than it is in tax.
Yep.
And there's a lot of opportunity to find people that just want to work part-time.
Yeah.
That, you know, have experience. And so that's where I'm interested to see in the coming years when we fill out our capacity, whatever we determine that to be, and we look at what our next steps are, where the opportunities there on that side that, you know, I can't scale my business. Like, I can't scale my stuff. They're working with me because they want to work with me. And so there's a limit to how much I can grow just the tax and advisory side alone.
Right.
That is not really there for the accounting side. Like, there's a lot more opportunity to grow that side in more flexible ways than just the tax.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, in our business, that's kind of how I think about it. Is I think the tax is higher margin. Oh, wait, real quick, I see you're a man of taste. Yeah, love that. A nectar a day keeps the doctor away. But that's too funny. We run on Cherry Coke Zero here. But anyway, in our practice, that's kind of how we think about it too. Is I think the tax work is definitely higher margin for us. But it is tougher to scale because it's harder to find. It's harder and more expensive to find the folks that can do it at the level that we need it done. Whereas the bookkeeping cast, the accounting side, it's a little bit lower margin, but it's more scalable. And it's all recurring revenue. It has its advantages. Right now we run kind of right now as of last month, for the year we're kind of at a 60-40 mix, 60% accounting services, 40% tax from a top line revenue perspective. I'm curious kind of what your thoughts are. Do you kind of have do you have an idea of where you expect to fall in your first year? Or is this still kind of taking shape?
It's still kind of taking shape. Like, I think one of the things that I'm struggling with personally is I don't know how to sell the CAS work, the bookkeeping work. Like, I've never done it. And so, like, that's like, I know I can sell a tax return. Like, that's the struggle with, that's what I'm struggling with. Like, okay, like you said, tax is really high margin, especially because, you know, it's just me. Right. So, you know,
right.
I don't know what my reasonable, what I should be factoring into my margin there for that. But, still it's high margin. Everybody knows they need it. Like, I don't have to sell a tax.
You have to convince. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right. Like, no business owner is saying, "Oh, I could totally do my partnership return. Capital accounts aren't that hard."
Exactly.
And so, like, and I just have experience with that's what I've been in my entire career.
Exactly.
And so that's something that I'm trying to be aware of, because it's easy to fall into the temptation like, well, man, it'd be really nice to have a little bit more revenue now that your health insurance turns out is really expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it ahead of time, but it's like, it's different when you're actually paying for it.
Yeah.
It's like, should I just get a few more tax clients? Because I know I can get tax clients.
Or you can go out and get them. It's what you're comfortable with. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. They're out there. I have people that are, even if it's just 1040 work, like I could just crank out 1040s for a couple of years. That's no problem. But is that the best path forward? And I don't think so. Like, that's not ultimately what I want to be. And so we're going to see what happens. I'm going to try to really focus on, I think we're going to really try to focus on the accounting services and expanding that. Yeah. I think with the hope of at least getting to 50-50. Like, if you pin me down and said we want a number, and with 50-50, including any of the accounting classes that I end up doing the tax return for. Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, we got the recurring revenue on my clients already, which is nice. Okay. Because again, like I said, they're all on a monthly subscription type deal.
Oh, so you bill them? Okay.
So I bill all my tax advisory clients monthly, which includes the tax return and all that jazz. So, that was honestly a selfish move, because I, started in October. How many tax returns are needed to be done between October 1st and October 15th? Basically zero, right? Like, all the good clients, they've already got them done. So, right. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, okay. So you bill, I'm gonna not to keep jumping around that, but you highlighted something this is something that we are literally working on figuring out right now, and so I'm glad you mentioned it. But your tax clients, you're billing them monthly subscription model. So in your model, how does that work? Is it a flat monthly fee and that covers your next return, whether you show up in October or whether you show up in January, or how do you guys structure it?
Yeah, so it's a flat monthly fee, and it includes any compliance work, the tax returns. It includes detailed tax planning with multiple scenarios and those kinds of things towards the end of the year. Okay. And then it includes just kind of ongoing communication and advisory work. So my niche is gas station convenience stores. That's about 2/3 of my client base right now. And there's a lot of M&A stuff that's happening there all the time. They're buying stations, they're selling stations, they're swapping them like trading cards, it seems like. And so there's always a conversation like, okay, if I do this, what my gain going to be? Or if I buy this, if I sell this and then buy this, am I going to have enough bonus depreciation to offset the gains? And usually it doesn't need to be super duper detailed. Like, it could be back of the napkin numbers. Okay. And those are what I'm helping them with throughout the year as things come up, so that they can make better decisions. My big 15 entity client, I've been helping him build amortization schedules for installment sales and those kinds of things in relation to his gas stations to, again, put him in the right position for making the right decision to sell a station or buy a station, or at least know what the consequences are, so he's not flying blind. A good example is they're not tax people, right? He sold a station in one entity and he wanted to buy another one in another entity, and he was all set up to do a 1031 exchange. And I'm like, you can't, right? They're two different. One's in this entity. They're two different entities. And it's like, okay. And so it's not just but I go beyond just saying, hey, you can't do that. It's okay, this is what we now can do to get to a similar result, so that, you don't have to blow up one or both of the transactions for tax reasons.
Of course. And so in these existing clients and kind of the situation you just talked me through, were these 3-tier proposals, or was this just kind of, hey, this is how, okay. So it's just a common scope that everybody's going to share the same scope.
Yeah.
So do they have, is it mostly client driven? Like, the client calls you up and says, hey, Don, I'm selling this location. What do you know, what's the impact XYZ? Or are there kind of recurring calendar touch points, or how do you think through that?
The reality is a lot of it is client driven.
Okay.
I had intentions of being a lot more intentional with reaching out on a regular basis, and I just didn't put the systems in place to make me do that.
Fair.
I mean, I do also do proactive reach outs when things come to mind. Like I kept everybody up to date with all the tax bill proposals, and like I have a couple clients that had R&D that they had to capitalize the past few years, and so I've worked with them proactively, like, okay, this is what it might look like. What do we want to do, just so you're up to speed. But a lot of it is client driven, but for the ones that I'm talking with a lot, that client driven communication is weekly almost.
Okay.
Because they're always doing something.
Yeah, they have
There's always
a
a question, right? And part of what I've tried to sell my services on is that availability.
Yeah.
Is like, because I'm sure you've run into this yourself, is the number one complaint that a new client has, like, I just can't get a hold of the guy. That's why I'm looking.
Oh, exactly. And that's something that, I don't think, I'm trying to think of an example, but every single new client that we get pretty much is coming to us with that complaint. It's like, I couldn't get a hold of my previous preparer, or my previous preparer is retiring. It's one of those two. Nobody complains about the quality of the work. And we look at their prior year returns, and some of them have reason to complain about the quality of work. But it's not what they worry about.
You should be ashamed.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, like, you paid for this. Okay. Yeah, but it's that's not how they conceptualize. All they want is like, hey, you actually answer your phone. So yeah. I think that's huge.
And that's kind of what I saw in my prior firm. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be like, I can't promise I'm going to save you the most in taxes. I'm going to try my best. I feel like I'm pretty smart. I know a lot of things.
Yeah.
But really, that's not, like, nobody likes paying taxes, but that wasn't really what they were complaining about. What they're complaining about is like, I want to be able to get a hold of you. Like, I want
relationship.
If I have a question, I want to get an answer, and I want to have enough of a relationship that I can trust that if you tell me, hey, it's going to take me a minute, you actually get back to me, and I feel okay with that.
Yeah. Which goes back to the it being hard to scale. But yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, but it was also part of the reason why I'm like, okay, at least initially, I'd rather have fewer large clients than
a bunch of
a whole bunch of smaller clients, because whether you have, like I said, 15 entities or just one, like, the 15 entity guy is not 15 times as much communication, right? It doesn't, because it's one holistic enterprise.
Yeah, it's one touch point. Yeah,
it's one touch point, and so the burden on my time doesn't scale with the size of the client linearly.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
But it does lead to some customer concentration risk, which is a whole other thing. So
yeah. Oh, I'm sure as you guys get cash rolled out, and especially the fact that you're doing that, like you mentioned, kind of for smaller clients, at least initially, that'll help reduce kind of your key man, your key client risk. There.
Yeah.
But so going back to the pricing real quick, from a pricing perspective, so you guys do the monthly subscription, and so if a client shows up, if I call you today in November and I say, hey Don, we're looking for a new accountant, we want to work with you for our 25 returns in the spring. How does that work for you? Do they have to? Yeah. How would you set up that billing schedule?
Yeah. So, I'd probably set it up to start in December, and say, okay, it's 12 months starting from December 1st. And, here are the services we're going to do. The pricing, I don't necessarily have a pricing formula. Like, I have some back calculations, but there's a little bit of vibes involved there. Fair. Depending on, how much of a pain do I think you're going to be, and how much work on the accounting side I'm going to need to do.
Yeah. The pain in the ass factor is definitely,
and how many entities, am I going to be prepping for? Each needs to be engaged separately. You have a separate engagement letter. And like I mentioned earlier, that advisory piece doesn't necessarily scale linearly based on the number of entities. So,
Gotcha.
if you looked at a monthly cost per entity on my biggest group, is significantly less than some of my smaller
fair.
groups.
So if it's a single,
Right, because of that nonlinear scaling though. But yeah, so that's basically kind of, and how I have my letters written up is, so the payments are earned when paid, considered earned when paid. So they can't come back and say, hey, well, they could, but my engagement letter says you're agreeing that you've paid me for services
if you switch,
rendered.
if you decide you want to go, I gotcha.
Right. It does open me up to some, and then, you stop paying, then services stop.
Yep.
Does it theoretically open me up to some risks? Should, like, okay, you said engage, we're talking right now, your return is done in the spring. Could you go, June and say, you know what, guess I'm done and stop? Well, yeah.
Sure.
And I wouldn't get the full 12 months of what was planned and scheduled out. And you got a tax return for less than what you thought it was. Now you're not going to get the year-end planning. You're not going to get the other consulting stuff. So that is an exposure area, but I kind of judge it as not a big problem.
Fair.
Because one, people don't switch tax accountants all that often in general.
Yeah.
If they switch because I screwed up and I made it mad, I'm like, well, maybe we're just not a good fit and this is fine. And from a actual hard cost standpoint, because I am a solo practice, okay, so I only made $150 an hour on that project instead of 300 or 400. And look, I'm good, right?
Yeah,
like
I'll survive.
I'm not losing money.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
It's opportunity cost money, not money.
Not hard money. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 'cause that's something. So a secondary effect of that then is that your client renewals will happen throughout the year. They're not all concentrated in December and January at the end of the year.
Most of mine are in November, just because.
Just as the nature of when you jumped.
Yeah, just the nature of when I started, and my initial client base was, okay, we started in October. So my initial ones are October. I'm like, I don't want to be dealing with the renewals right as we're going through September 15th and October 15th deadline stuff in case anything comes up. And so the first batch were all 13-month engagements to push the renewal out to the beginning of November. But yeah, so most of them are then just because of the nature of that. But then I have the new ones are just whenever we whenever we started going. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, eventually that'll get more and more evenly distributed throughout the year. As we bring on new work, especially on the accounting side. So,
yeah, no, I like the sound of that. And right now we bill most of our tax work. Our default is to bill it up front. So when we do when we doing the sales calls with the clients, we present the options. We use Ignition as well, so we'll present the options and we'll have them priced as a lump sum. Like, this is what the return and XYZ additions are going to cost. And we most clients that accept just don't question the proposal, and they just go with the proposal as it's originally written. Sometimes we'll have clients, if a potential client objects on price or has concerns about price, then we'll say, okay, well, we can be flexible on the billing schedule. If we bill this quarterly or monthly, does that make more sense for you? And so there's definitely advantages to that. But I like the idea. I like the idea of having everybody on a monthly, because then the problem then we run into is we're also a small firm. I'm not trying to make more admin work for ourselves than we need to. Is we might sell 4 big tax clients in June, but the work's not. We haven't done the work until April or until March, and so then it throws off other systems we have within the firm. So we do profit sharing, and we've got other kind of things that are all downstream of revenue for the month. And so it creates complications. So I like the idea of just saying, what, screw it. Let's just put everybody on a monthly. And that way we can plan off of it. It makes running the other aspects of the firm a lot easier.
Yeah. I think the key with it for me, and especially, and I've gotten this from communication with clients and those kind of things too, is if they're going to, at least for my clients, if they're getting billed monthly, they want to get monthly value.
Yeah.
Right? They want to feel like they're getting, like, it sucks paying. Like, I got a freaking gym membership that I haven't used for how long now.
Exactly right. You're
But-
like, I'm still paying
And
this
it's only
guy. Yeah.
it's only $30 a month, but
Right.
and so I think that was one of my kind of driving factors in being specific with what kind of client I wanted to work with and
Yeah.
what I want to do is like, if you just want your tax return done, at
Amen
this
up.
point I've been saying I'm not the right fit for you
Yeah.
because I want to have a relationship with you. I want to be providing value throughout the year.
Yeah.
And that's why I bill the way that I do.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, like I said, right now, most of ours, when people come to us, we'll put them on. Somebody comes to us now in November, like I said, we pre-bill everything, and so we end up having like it creates complications because we'll have a short year, so we'd be like, okay, this 2025 is now your short year, so we'll bill you November, December. And then on January 1st of 26, we start your 2026 engagement, and then we can split that one out. But it just creates more admin headache.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that was something that we ran into at the firm that I left too, is like, how do we, because they were I don't know. And that's kind of where I'm like, you know what, if they start in the middle of the year and they leave early and they get a good deal, okay.
yeah, so be it.
If I was a larger, the firm I left was about 60 people, and there's just different concerns and different
Yeah, of course.
stakeholders in that, and you have to do things differently. And that's kind of where I fell on it. Again, like you said, it's a lot of admin work.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's sometimes hard to explain to the client too.
Yeah.
Because like, okay, there's only 2 months in 2025, so you're going to be paying half of all of 2025 in November, half of it all in December.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be paying me a smaller amount starting January because that's 26 split across 12 months. And the clients are like, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a lot easier just to be able to throw up a number and say, hey, look, this is what it is a month, and it's simple and it's clean. No, I like that. Yeah. I don't know. That's something that, like I said when I brought it up, it's something that we're looking at, this week and next as we're trying to get ready for our December renewals.
Well, and it's something that we've been looking at too with the accounting stuff, because, if they're coming to me in November and they want accounting work and their 2025 accounting is garbage, like, okay, well, I don't want to do all of 2025 for one monthly payment in December. And so for the ones that we've done so far, we've only proposed a couple, but we're like, hey, here's the cleanup fee for the rest of the year. So almost kind of in the same spot that it just doesn't, that feels different for me because I don't know. It does.
Yeah, no, right. This is nature, right? No, I that makes sense. I will let you know. I'll follow up with you and let you know if we copycat your system and make a switch to just doing it simply on a monthly basis, because I do like the sound of that. And I'm with you. The risk, I think the risk is one of those things that seems higher when you're thinking about it. Most clients are decent people. It's not something you got to worry about. And yeah, one or two that what you might lose on having a client leave early or whatever, I think you more than make up for in the amount of admin time and headaches that you save.
Well, and you might have some that you win on. Like,
yeah,
what if
exactly. That's true
someone,
too.
decides, you know what, I don't want to work with Don anymore. He's too expensive. And they've paid me from November through March and the return's not filed.
Yep.
Oh, well, I guess I came out ahead on that one.
Exactly.
Good for me.
Yeah. So yeah, it all evens out in the end. Yeah. So on as far as directional or where you think your firm is headed, so we're adding the cash or the bookkeeping side of the business, and that's all going to be your wife. Was that always the plan? Was that when you jumped and decided to start your own firm? Was it kind of with that in mind, or was that a development of kind of your first year success?
So that apparently was kind of her plan. Apparently.
Wasn't briefed.
I did not get that memo that she didn't put the cover on the TCR report to let me know about that.
That's too funny.
So, yeah, and that's led to some interesting, thoughts and discussions, like second guessing myself on what I've done the past year. Right. So, yeah, so like coming back to the customer concentration risk, right?
Yeah.
When I started, I'm like, okay, I only had 15 client relationships that I
Mhm.
kept working with from my prior firm. A couple of them were pretty darn big.
Yep.
And then I got an even bigger one. And pretty soon, like almost half of my revenue is just 2 clients.
Okay.
And like when my wife was working full time outside of the firm and was making a decent salary, she was on an actuarial team, and had health insurance and a pension. It's like, okay, I can ride this. I can ride this
Yeah.
bull.
Yeah.
I'll deal with the risk. That's a risk I'm willing to take, because
Right.
if they did leave, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you're not in a lurch.
Not a lurch. My mentality on that has shifted a little bit now that we're 100% reliant on
Understandably.
the firm
Yeah.
to support our family. Not that I did have some pricing pushback on my second largest client. They ended up signing and renewing, but they're like, hey,
Okay.
we're going to shop around and make sure that we're getting what we want. And like, okay,
Yep.
like, and so it's like, okay, if they had left, that would not have been fun. Like,
Yeah.
not exactly going to be homeless, but we're
No,
now
sure.
in a deficit that we need to make up. And so I think one of the things that we're going to be focusing on is how do we diversify our client base to minimize that risk.
Yeah.
And is that, maybe too conservative? I don't know. Like, we're accountants, right? We're kind of naturally on the conservative side of things. We'll take the path of less risk by
Mhm.
default most of the time. And that's kind of the approach that I'm taking with helping her build her side. Like, she's been in accounting her whole career. She's the one that actually has an accounting degree, in fact.
Gotcha. Okay. So this isn't like
and
new that she saw you.
No.
It's what she's been doing this for a while. Okay.
No, so she's been in industry. Like, the last company she
Mhm.
was with was a multi-billion-dollar insurance company.
Okay.
She was on a team that she was responsible for all the financial reporting.
Gotcha.
She helped lead their transition from their old finance system to Workday. Like, so she knows systems and she knows processes. But she's never worked with QuickBooks, right? And she's
Right,
never
so
worked
it's a
with small
different animal.
businesses.
Yeah.
And it's just different. And that's been really interesting, because she's like, okay, I'm going to do all this financial modeling. Like, they just
Yeah.
want to know how much money they're going to have. Like, chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Mhm.
But at least initially, I think the plan I want to have is to just start small. Like,
Yeah.
let's get you some experience, build some systems and processes. Yes, bookkeeping is not the highest and best use of your time, but it's good learning experience for you to learn how things actually work within the system. And it's also the easiest thing to slough off on a part-time contractor in the future if we want to. Or if you just want to hold on to it, just turn your brain off, categorize some transactions, and
Right.
build some new bank rules and make it a day, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
I think but yeah, no, it was not the vision from the start.
hmm
But I do think that there's a lot of opportunity there. And a lot of, I'm going to use the buzzword synergy,
Yeah.
because like, my ideal perfect world is somebody else does all the accounting, and then I
Yeah.
just get a clean, minty fresh set of books to dump into the
Perfect.
tax return, and my
Yeah.
job's done.
Yeah.
And then I can focus on the fun stuff of the client relationship and networking and supporting other professionals in the area, and not get bogged down with confirming, loan balances and
Yeah.
all that stuff that I spend a majority of my time doing when it comes to the compliance work. Like, the tax return, I might spend, at my old firm, I had one firm that I spent almost 100 hours, one client I almost spent 100 hours on. And like 45 minutes of that was the tax return itself. Like, the rest of it
Yeah,
was
it's
all
all
accounting
it's
and
all the
trying to
mess
figure
that you got to
out.
clean up. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so it's like, if the accounting can get done throughout the year, not only will we have better information to give better advice to our clients, but then the compliance works stupid easy at that point. So
Yeah. No, that's very exciting. I'm sure it'll make for some interesting office dynamics. but I'm sure it'll be an exciting shift.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
fortunately, she's worked from homes for the past 6 years.
Oh, okay.
So like we're already sharing an office. So
Gotcha.
we got
Right.
that figured out. The toughest thing is when we're both on the meeting at the same time, because we're in the same room and it kind of echoes.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's very cool. That's very exciting too. So you said she's looking at targeting dental practices. Is kind of the initial thought. Okay.
Yeah, she has some experience in that area.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned
it's also an area where it's a lot it's similar to accounting in the sense that if they're not doing work, they're not making money, right?
Yeah.
The scalability of it is limited to the number of dental professionals that you have, and not everybody wants to bring on an associate and deal with all that stuff. So I feel like it's an opportunity to sell them on the services, saying, hey, we're going to take time off of your plate in managing this part of your business. We'll do that for you so you can spend more time actually in your business doing the stuff that you actually want to do. Right.
Yeah.
So.
No, exactly. No, and like you said, good all around. It'll reduce your key client risk and presumably maybe you'll pick up more smaller clients.
Yeah, potentially. And I've also been considering some other things too. Like, okay, like my wife only wants to work so much. Okay. Right. So how do we, if we're able to generate that much revenue off of that much time in this area, what's the balance of what we want to have overall? And then I need to figure out, how do I want to get that? Do I want to stick with the big entity year-end accounting clients with planning? Or, I mean, I'm sure you've run into this. Financial advisors are like, you say you're a CPA, and financial advisors are practically wanting to sell you their children to help their clients. Like if I could just, and there's a lot of fun tech in that space where that's coming out, where that could take a lot of the admin burden of managing a lot of 1040s off the plate. Like what could that look like? Still figuring that out, but
that's the fun part. Yeah. That's the fun part.
Especially being a small practice. Like, again, the 60-person firm that I left, great people, love them. I wish them all the success in the world. Yeah. But change management is hard.
Yeah. It's a bigger ship to steer. Yeah.
Bigger ship to steer. And you have a broader breadth of personalities. And some of those personalities are your stereotypical accountant. Like, no, that's not how we did it last year. So we're going to do it this way forever. Yeah. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to play with the tools and decide this is how it's going to go. And if I see an opportunity or want to shift gears, I can do that. I don't have to ask anybody.
Yeah, you don't need
permission. Should ask my wife now. But,
I guess now, right. Yeah, the shareholder meeting. Yeah. So. No, that's exciting. Well, cool. I appreciate you kind of sharing, giving us the background and kind of walking us through how everything works. And I'm excited to kind of, we'll have to keep in touch and see how it goes as you guys roll out the accounting side of the practice, and see how that goes for you. And if you, like I said, we're not far ahead of you in that space, but if you have any questions about it, if there's anything that you want to touch base on, don't hesitate to reach out. As far as so moving kind of into our closeout questions, we've got 5 questions that we ask every guest that's come on. So we'll just kind of jump into them. What is your favorite business book?
My favorite business book. This is going to sound cliche. I really like Traction. Yeah. Not that I'm fully bought into EOS. Yep. But just the mentality of like, no, different people have different roles, and these are the different roles that you need to have. Yep. Not that it's necessarily a prescriptive org chart, but like, again, it's just me, right? I can't build out an EOS system with just me and my wife. There's more roles than there are people, but it was still helpful for me to think of those terms like, no, I need to wear this hat now. I need to change my perspective and look at the problem from a different perspective that is trying to accomplish this goal. I found that really helpful. I think if you had to ask me, another one that I liked was Radical Candor.
I've heard, you're not the first person I've heard mention that one. I'm trying to think where I Somebody else recommended that one to me. It's on my list.
Yeah.
Radical Candor.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
I think that, I mean, especially if you have a team, but even if you're just working with clients, like there's some times where I've had to have some difficult conversations, and that's been a helpful framework for thinking about, okay, no, I'm not like, this is how I need to approach this, and this is the mentality I need to have, and this is the why behind it. Basically the sum of it is conflict avoidance is not being kind. Like that's the biggest, at least for accounts. Like there's some people that are just obnoxious. And so those people, but they generally aren't accounts. Like most accounts were pretty conservative, pretty reserved. And we think, well, you know, if I don't bring up this bad news then it won't be, it'll go better. And that's me being nice. But we usually, have you seen Robin Hood Men in Tights, the Mel Brooks movie? So when the sheriff of Nottingham is, well, maybe if you tell me the bad news in a good way, it won't seem so bad. So we're generally the sheriff, right? We're like, man, you're going to pay $100,000 in taxes. It's great. You know, versus if, you know, communicating directly is actually the kinder way to do it. And so.
Oh, yeah, you're not the first person that's brought that one up. So I made a note. I'm going to bump it up on the list, but, yeah, I'll be excited to check that one out. And yeah, Traction is so good. And I'm with you. I'm not fully bought into it. As the team grows, it's something that I've incorporated more elements of it in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just as a framework of like how I think about things, I found it massively helpful. So yeah, I'm both solid. I'm excited to check out Radical Candor. Question number 2. What is one system or tool that you couldn't run your firm without?
I mean, outside of CCH Access to my tax returns. Let's see, what one tool that I could not run my firm without? I mean, that's hard to say because that's just such a hyperbolic statement. But if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Superhuman.
Superhuman.
It's an email client.
I haven't heard of it. Okay.
There's other you know, competitors to it. It's just the one that I use. But there's others that are good, and some that might be better for a team versus just me individually. But yeah, it's an email client that basically makes it a lot of tools for managing your inbox a lot easier to use. I don't think there's a whole lot that is like, it's the only one that does this and you can't possibly do this in Outlook. But it just makes it easier to do the things that you should be doing. So, like some of the things I like are, one, the search actually works. I don't know if you've tried to search in Outlook and the frustration that can be. So the search is really good. It actually has an AI chatbot built into it, which is another kind of way to find information. That's been really helpful for me because it's like, hey, have we emailed about this subject? Me and this client emailed about the subject. It'll search through the entire inbox and say, yep, here it is, link to the email. Or no, you had some discussions about it, but you never came to a conclusion. Some of that kind of stuff. And then I also use it as kind of like my Calendly alternatively. So I don't use Calendly. It has a feature that in its calendar, I can just share my availability directly in an email and it'll kind of book through there.
Okay, cool.
But I think that's been big for me because it helps me keep my inbox at a manageable level as opposed to just letting it build up to thousands of messages and now it's useless.
Yeah, a bear. Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check that out. We use we recently moved our phone system to Quo/OpenPhone.
Yeah, that's what I use as well.
Okay, yeah, which was huge for us because I use Fireflies, one of those AI note taker, right?
Yeah.
I use Fireflies for my call recordings with clients and client meetings. But switching to OpenPhone or Quo allowed us to link the phone system to the client call tracking system. And so yeah, having that AI searchable interface where I don't have to sit here with a legal pad and take notes instead of listening to the
100%.
client. Yeah, it has been great, but I don't have it on email. On email, I'm still running the traditional search, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So I will definitely have to check this out. And
Another one that I've heard is really good for teams is Missive.
Missive, okay. Yeah, I've heard of
yeah.
Missive. Okay.
Yeah.
No, anyway, that's why we asked the question. I appreciate the plug. Cool. We'll have to check it out. So we already kind of talked about it at the beginning, but question number 4: what are your hobbies?
So the car stuff. That's a big one.
That's awesome.
I also am into shooting, which target shooting and that kind of stuff, and collecting. I actually had a federal firearms license for a bit for collecting.
Oh, no way.
Curio and relic firearms.
Very cool. What kind of firearms do you collect?
So it was primarily military surplus, like World War II and prior stuff.
Very cool.
So, yeah, got a couple M1 Garands. Probably my favorite one is a Swiss K31.
Very cool.
It was their rifle from like 1932 through 1947, but it's a straight pull bolt action. So like the whole mechanism for the bolt is kind of fun.
That's cool. I've never seen one of those. My dad and I also collect, say, World War II, but mostly World War II. We have, we don't have a Swiss rifle, and we don't have a French. I'm blanking on what the French rifle's called.
Well, I mean, neither of them really used them apparently. Like the Swiss, because they never got invaded. The French just kind of dropped them and ran away. So
yeah, exactly. But no, that's super cool. You got some cool hobbies, Don. I like your hobbies. Right on. What all World War II rifles, or do you have other periods as well?
Well, I mean, I have other more modern firearms too. I have, but yeah, mostly. Like as far as the old stuff, yes, it's kind of the World War II era. Like I have a Mosin Nagant, which I don't know.
Back when you could get them for like $100. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
And they started making them in like 1908 or whatever. So, does it really count as a World War II? Like they're still using them in Ukraine right now.
Yeah,
so,
I know. Yeah.
Like just keep them around.
Yeah. Cool rifles. No, that's super cool. Well, right on. What about last question? Where can people go to connect with you or find out more about you?
So I am on LinkedIn, on and off on how active I am with it. Like I try to be, I'll have moments where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be really intentional. I'm gonna post regularly, and then I get distracted by a squirrel or something. And so, yeah, LinkedIn's good. I'm also a member of several accountant communities.
Yep.
So I'm on the Collaboration Room and Realize, and then I'm also probably most active. There's a Tax Pros Discord server.
You're in the Discord? I'm in the Discord. Yeah. Okay. What's your well, you don't have to, if you don't want to. What's your Discord handle?
Oh, it's Skazooker28.
I'll look for you. I'm Nkobo, so you'll see me in there. But right off.
Okay, my profile picks up my car. So
okay, I'll look for it. Mine's a Cherry Coke Zero. Oh, right on. That Discord
it's great.
It's worth its weight in gold. I mean, it's amazing, and it's free.
For the low price of free, it's
exactly for what you paid
I'm
for.
I'm honestly in there. I get more out of that than any of the paid communities that I'm in.
100%.
Not that the paid communities I don't get value from. It's just like
it's just
great to have. It's just different.
Yeah.
There's some really good people there. I've actually met several of them in person. Like a number of them are in the Portland area.
Very cool.
So be able to meet in real life too, which is fun. So
yeah, for anybody listening, it's our Tax Pros, or not our Tax Pros. I'm thinking Reddit. It's what's the Discord? It's
taxprosdiscord.com.
Is the,
and then you can that's the sign up. That's the website that gets you an invite to the server. So
yeah, having that's been huge, and it's such a good place. I mean, people are just on the spot. People just have it up, and you can get answers to questions super quick, especially more technical things that, for anything technical, I go there first. I don't like posting technical stuff like in Realize or in some of the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's a great resource.
That was like, it's almost counterintuitive. Like you think, oh, it's the free community. You're not gonna get the technical stuff, but like, there's some really knowledgeable people in there, and they really are. And just that was one of the things that has been really gratifying going on my own, is just the community as a whole.
Yeah.
The people that are online, at least.
Yep.
are all really, really collegial, really nice, really want to help. And nobody's feeling like, okay,
It's not
you're an idiot.
competitive or
It's not competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been really good. And like that was something I tried to be really intentional with too, going on my own, is building relationships and making avenues for that, because I wasn't going to have that built-in relationship machine that I had
going to the office,
60-person firm. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, very cool. Well, I'll be on the lookout for you in the Discord. Very cool. And sorry, I got so excited to talk about your race cars and your guns that I missed one of our questions, which is, what events and conferences are you planning on going to the next year, if any?
So the ones that I'm almost certainly going to be going to are going to be Bridging the Gap. I went to that this year for the first time and I really enjoyed it. It was really good. And then the other one is the Tax Retreat.
Okay.
Which this past year they were back to back. So they were both in Denver, successive weeks. And so I just kind of stayed there for the whole time.
Hang out.
Next year they're going to be split up from what I understand. But both of those were really good from just, again, the relationship standpoint. Like they have a different focus than like AICPA Engage, where like you're there for the technical content, like, and see the vendors.
Yeah.
You're there for the vendors because all the vendors are there, and you're there for the technical content because you don't have time to build relationships. There's 4,000 people here. You're just trying to get to the next class.
Yeah.
Whereas Bridging the Gap has a lot more focus on just building relationships with each other, but then also being intentional with how you're treating yourself, for lack of a better word. I don't know if you're familiar with Bridging the Gap at all, or if you.
No, you're not the first person to mention it, but no, I haven't been.
It kind of started out of a desire to help accountants take care of themselves better mentally, primarily.
Okay.
And it's not to say that it's all a bunch of woo-woo whatever stuff, but
Sure.
Like the goal is not there to learn about the newest tax law and that kind of stuff. It's about, okay, how can you run a better firm, both for yourself, but then also the people that are working for you.
Yeah.
And then, and the tax tree's just literally just all, let's relax, let's get together, let's connect. But they had some good stuff this year. Like they had a former IRS employee who was in charge of communications, and they had a really good a columnist for Forbes was there speaking on some stuff, and so those are probably the two, but that's primarily out of my, again, desire to build relationships. I've been to AICPA Engage several times. I don't know if I'll go again next year, because again, from a technical point, it's a lot of expense and a lot of people, and I think I'd rather just get my CP on webinars if I just need compliance credits. But,
are you on Earmark or any of the?
Yeah, so I do Earmark. Like,
it just makes it stupid easy.
Like I don't need to go to a big expensive conference just to go to a big expensive conference to get my CP. I got that covered. I want to go because it's stuff I want to cover, and I want to get to know people. So
gotcha.
We may go to Digital CPA next year.
Okay.
That's an AICPA conference. I've heard it's really good. It's really focused on the client accounting services side of things. So that might be good for my wife to go to. But yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, we're trying to take a look at what conferences we want to go to in the coming year. So I appreciate the recommendations. We'll definitely check them out, and maybe we'll see you at one of them. So yeah. Well, cool, Don. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for making the time to come on. It was great chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit. And thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. It's fun.
Yeah, well, right on.
All right. Well, that is our show with Don Leavitt. Don, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. We had a great time chatting with you. What'd you think?
I thought that you guys connected very well and that you had a good conversation. And yeah, I think he had a lot of interesting stuff to say. And I guess it's kind of standard maybe in accounting, or more standard than I was familiar, the the process of like moving from an existing firm and taking your existing books with you to your own practice. I guess that's how he had seeded his starting client list.
Yeah, that was interesting how he was able to do that, and certainly something that's probably not an option for everybody out there thinking about starting their own practice. But yeah, I mean,
I think it
what
was
a
like
gr- what a gift.
negotiated. So
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
if you got the gift of the gab and you can carve that out for yourself,
Yeah.
might as well.
Pretty cool. Yeah. But no, I'm with you. I had a great time chatting with Don, and hopefully you guys, the listening audience, got some value from our conversation. I think my biggest takeaway from our talk, at least what I got from it, aside from the fact that he's a fellow, enjoyer of fine beverages, is was his tendency. I don't know if he would say it this way, but so I won't put words in his mouth. But the fact that he's chosen to kind of take his practice deeper versus wider,
Yeah.
and that's something that I think
I think
do a
it's
little
something
bit
worth
more of.
examining.
Yeah.
And even if you get wider, you can still niche down
Yeah,
at a certain
Create
point.
depth.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
something that we
his-
talked about. We've talked about internally. And
yeah, we'll continue
we're,
to talk about.
we're
'Cause-
kind of stretched width-wise right now. But
Yeah. I mean, I really liked his emphasis on providing value to the clients versus just increasing the number of clients, right?
Yeah.
And so by having less client relationships, he's able to have a deeper relationship with the
Yeah.
clients he does have. And then tied to that, I love the idea of him having like a very defined niche.
which kind of goes to the point you've been making in a couple of these where, people, obviously we have our own sort of standard of excellence, which we consider to be, higher than what's needed. But like what the clients are really looking for, or what the complaint that they
Yeah.
have coming to you is not the standard of excellence of the work or lack thereof. It's the relationship that they had with their previous accountants. And
Right.
so he's able to provide, a very high level of that.
Yeah. Right. Just by juggling less total clients. So, yeah, no, like I said, a lot to think about there. Again, appreciate Don coming on. If you guys enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and drop us a like or leave us a comment wherever you're listening, and share this episode with somebody else who's running a firm. That was weird. My lights just flickered. But anyway, yeah, share this episode with.
We're still and for the foreseeable future, soliciting people to join us, to join Nick.
Oh yeah, that too.
On the pod, and
So if you or
share with
somebody
us their
you know,
experiences and let us rip off some of your ideas.
yeah, exactly. If you or somebody else would be interested in coming on and chatting with us, and we'd love to have you. So we'll drop a link to that in the show notes as well. And yeah, I think aside from that, we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.